Hello, I'm Dr. Ryan Alcantara, Career Services Manager at USC Rossier School of Education. And I am here to remind you that we have a K-12 career fair that's coming up. It'll be on Friday, February 23rd, and we'll have over 40 different schools and school districts represented. So if you have not yet registered, please do so. You can click the QR code or visit the website to learn more. In preparation for the career fair, I wanted to offer a couple of virtual workshops for our Masters of Arts in teaching students. And this one is going to be focused in on resumes. So hopefully you all have been working on a revised resume in anticipation of your job search and in advance of the upcoming career fair. And I'm here to offer some tips. So first off, you may be inclined to look for a template when doing your resume. And so if you go to Microsoft Word, you might come up with something like this, or if you Google, you might come up with these kinds of pretty designs and formats and be inclined to do something similar to that. So I'm here at the start to say, don't do it. This is not what employers are looking for, and to generally stay away from those templates. You want a clean, crisp, simple, direct to the point format, and we have a template on the website, and you can download that if you don't have that template, or you go to VMOC and they have a template as well. So again, stay away from those pretty graphic design stuff. That's not what you're going to want to use for your job search. So here's the website and the QR code that takes you to the resource that the Rossier Career Services has. So you can download a template. You can see a sample resume for a new teacher there. But generally, most of you are going to have to update your resume, right? You're coming with background. Your most relevant background is what you've been doing in your student teaching experience. You may want to mention previous work history, but try to just emphasize that the most relevant stuff. So generally with your resume, keep it clear, keep it simple, a clean format. It should be teaching focused, include volunteer work or other kinds of related work that is teaching related. If you have prior work history, it's fine to include, but don't spend a lot of time on it unless it's teaching related. It's good to show I have experience in other settings, but you don't want to spend a whole lot of time on your resume, because generally you're looking at a page, but no more than 2 pages for a new teacher resume. So what is a resume versus what is not a resume? It's your first impression. So the first impression you're going to give to the employer. The goal of your resume is to get an interview. You have to keep in mind, it's only going to be viewed for 8 to 15 seconds. If there's enough there that they catch in that 8 to 15 seconds, they'll spend more time on it. But that's as much time as you want to get their attention. And that's part of why we say not to get too kind of creative or crazy on the format. Following a standard template allows the reader to quickly see what they want to see and not have to look for things. And then finally, it's a marketing tool to sell you to a potential employer. A resume is not your life story. It's not a personal statement. It's not about you, and it's not about your benefits from being hired. So you really have to focus it on what do they want to know. And so we often are inclined to talk about everything we've done or list every bullet related to a particular job. Hit the highlights, hit the most important, most relevant points. You don't have to describe a daily function, particularly, if it's teaching related and they know that, your employer potentially knows a lot of the day-to-day work that's involved in that. You want to just pick those most compelling points. So in terms of the major components of a resume, you'll have your personal data, contact information on the top. You might list career objectives. I'm not a huge fan of that, but a lot of people utilize it. If you're customizing it to fit a particular area or age group that you're targeting, just keep in mind you've got to update that for each position that you're applying for. You want to make sure it's relevant to the position you're applying for. You should list educational background and related certificates for pending completion. Like if you're planning to graduate this coming May, you might list anticipated rather than a date for graduation, anticipated graduation or anticipated, May 2024. And then you can certainly include information like your GPA. I don't think you have to list like every class you took. Some people do like to do that. And if there's space and you think it's useful, hit the most salient ones. Generally, an employer is going to know what kind of curriculum you went through as a new teacher. Professional experience. So this is the most important part, and you can include both paid and unpaid work. It's listed in a reverse chronological order. The most bullet points should be reserved for the most recent and the most relevant experience. So, don't use 5-10 bullets covering a retail job that you held 2 years ago. You want to focus that in on the most recent teaching related work that you've done. So generally not more than 4 or 5 bullets. It doesn't have to be comprehensive to that job. It should just be tailored to the job that you're seeking. So what information is most useful. So again, going back to that old retail job, you don't have to hit everything you did. What are the most significant activities? If it's, customer service type of thing, like what are those points that might translate the best to this other position, or you just leave it at a line to make sure it's descriptive enough. And then include quantifiable data and accomplishments when you have that to include. Other categories might include volunteer experience and leadership roles, honors and awards, presentations, publications, media, special skills. So you can do that. I generally encourage, if you only have like one publication, you might want to couple that with something else. So you have a few bullets under that particular category. But you have flexibility in what you might include or exclude, certainly. When you're looking at that professional experience section, you want to be sure you're using action verbs in describing your work. So it's crucial to the construction of those bullets. They define what you did, how you did it, and what you achieved. Vary those verbs. Don't keep saying facilitated over and over again. Make sure you know the exact meaning of the verb when you're using it in a bullet point. And then finally, don't just tell it, sell it. You're not just describing what you did, but you really want to make yourself shine as you describe it. So telling it just details the activity. Selling it couples detailing the activities with including the results of those activities. And then similarly, tell it describes features. Selling it couples that with also providing the benefit of those features. And then telling it focus on what was done versus selling it where you add how what you did benefited teachers, administrators, students. So that whole notion of really including, the significance of that activity you were engaged in. So I know conceptually it's a little hard to kind of figure out, like, how do I make that work for me? So here are a few examples, and I'll talk through the first one. So telling it might say you taught 4 sections of chemistry during grad school teaching. Selling it would say you designed and produced a revision to the 10th grade chemistry curriculum that resulted in heightened awareness of chemistry in everyday activities, along with a 17% improvement in overall attitudes towards chemistry. So there you're describing some outcomes and impact, and it's much more robust. So important to know, if you don't have the data, if you don't have that additional information, don't make it up. But, if you were involved in recrafting that curriculum, you want to certainly share that. So you designed or redesigned, not just that you taught that curriculum. This is also a good reminder of, if there's assessment data available, you can utilize that in your resume. If there's not assessment data available, it's a good opportunity to say, can I be doing some assessment? Like, what information can I share that's being collected, or what should I be collecting? And even if you don't have that opportunity in your current position, be thinking in the future when you start your position, like, what are the things that I want to achieve in this classroom, and what's going to demonstrate that? You need to communicate that as a teacher, and and look for ways of how you can incorporate that into your resume as well. I'll also note, so as you craft those bullet points, it should always be in the first person, but you drop the I. So rather than say, I managed a classroom of 24 students, you say, manage a classroom of 24 students. It's just, that's the language we use. And then do not use responsible for or duties include, since it creates a passive voice. And there's an example of a passive versus a more active voice for your reference. I did mention VMOC, and that's an AI tool that students have access to as students of USC. So there's some information there. There's links when you go to the Russ Here Career Services webpage, and it's a great tool. It gives you some insights, catches typos. It'll also catch if you're using the same verb too many times. So I do encourage you to check that out. It's a great resource. And with that, that's a conclusion of this video. We'll have some other videos available for you as well. Feel free to reach out if you've got specific questions related to your resume. I welcome you to contact me. So here's my contact information, and here's a QR code. You can download my contact information as well. But look forward to seeing you at the career fair on February 23rd, and wish you the best as you go through your job search. Thank you for watching, and fight on.